We're on? We're here? Oh. Twisted my ankle earlier, so my foot kind of hurts. But today, what we are going to talk about is, if I could go to my marker, I've been trying to be more organized. Romans chapter 14. Okay. The dangers of criticism. Now, this chapter I read 2 nights ago, I think it was. Something like that. And when I read it, it was like really interesting. It made me want to talk about it. Romans 14 is the dangers of criticism. So let me read it to you. Accept other believers who are weak in faith, and do not argue with them about what they think is right or wrong. For instance, one person believes it's alright to eat anything, but another believes with a sensitive consensus will only eat vegetables. Those who feel free to eat anything must not look down on those who don't. And those who don't eat certain foods must not condemn those who do, for God has accepted them all. Who are you to condemn someone else's servants? Their own masters will judge whether they stand or fall, and with the Lord's help, they will stand and receive his approval. Oh, it almost fell. So that was the first part of the chapter. And to just kind of break that down into terms that make sense in my head is, for example, I don't like smoking or drinking. It's not my thing. Personal reasons, I just don't like it. I don't want to do it. It's not for me. That does not give me the excuse to go around and, oh, well, oh, dust in my lungs. That does not give me the excuse to go around and say, and to hate or to put down anyone that, may smoke or may drink here and there. There's, of course, boundaries where it's like, okay, well, this guy's drinking a whole pack every hour. Maybe we should, talk to him, give him my thoughts, right? But there's no condemning, right? There's just helping, if you will. And that's very important, because I think a lot of people will get pushed away from certain people just because they don't like what they do. I personally don't like smoking or drinking, and sometimes it's hard for me to be around those kind of things. So sometimes I will distance myself instead of, maybe getting angry at that other person, which I think is a very important thing to keep in the back of your mind, right? It's okay to have boundaries, right, for certain things, but to remember to not get angry over things that you disagree with necessarily whenever they're not the worst thing in the world, I don't know, I think it's very important. I think some people get mixed up in their emotions sometimes and lash out over small things, and they tend to get angry, and it almost is like a downhill spiral after that. And I think it's very important to it's important to not get caught on those little things, because there's sometimes where this world kind of works in a I forget how everyone says it, like when you first look at someone, you judge them by the first thing. I feel like Christians aren't meant to do that, right? We're not meant to judge the first thing that we look at someone. I feel it's better for you to see someone, doing something, and you're like, whoa, what the heck? And you go talk to them. First impressions, that's what it is. Your first impression is everything. That gets pushed around everywhere, whether it's relationships, business, getting a job, whatever. It's pushed a lot around. And I think that comes with a judgment, you know? It comes with a huge judgment, you know? Obviously, no one's perfect. Not everyone believes in the Lord, you know? So there's maybe not a lot of things that you agree that certain people do. But it's important to remember to not be so harsh to judge that quick. Maybe you need to get away from that person for a certain reason because you don't agree with a lot of things that they're doing and it's harmful to you or others. By all means, yes, it's good to get away from that, but to try to remember that they're also human, to try to remember that although you may not agree, try to be kind enough to try and tell them, hey, this is probably the better option. I'm not saying you have to do this because you have a free will, but this is probably the better option. Anyways, let's read the next half of this chapter, shall we? This is verse 5 of chapter 14. In the same way, some think one day is more holy than another day, while others think every day is alike. You should each be fully convinced that whichever day you choose is acceptable. Those who worship the Lord on a special day do it to honor him. Those who eat any kind of food do it so to honor... I'm getting lost here. I'm reading too fast. Do so to honor the Lord, since they give thanks to God before eating. And those who refuse to eat certain foods also want to please the Lord and give thanks to God. For we don't live for ourselves or die for ourselves. If we live, it's to honor the Lord. Goodness. For if we die, it's to honor the Lord. So whether we live or die, we belong to the Lord. Just God, who knows that we live for the very purpose. Both of the living and the dead. So why do we live another moment? Why do we look down on almost state for joy to God? The scripture says, as surely as I am persistent, a lot about, the person that thinks eating certain food is bad versus the other person that says it doesn't really matter. The Lord goes on to then say, there's nothing wrong with eating certain things. But I think it's very important that because Christianity is so denominational, there's so many denominations, it's kind of like that. There's certain denominations that believe certain things, that do certain things for the Lord, and then there's others that don't. And sometimes the denominations options, but heads given that kind of say, oh, well, you're not a real Christian because of this or